right, boys, we're back. Another week of content with another owner. This is Commissioner Brandon. I'm with Commissioner Tim, and we have the man, the myth, the legend. We've got full Terry. Johnny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to another year.
Yeah, year three, we're getting into it. I'm excited to be here. 2 years down, we got two champions that aren't me, so I'm fired up and ready to get that trophy.
Excellent. That kind of leads right into it. What were some of your goals from last season? Let's focus on last season. I know it wasn't a championship year for you, but what were your goals? Did you feel like you accomplished them? What went right? What went wrong?
So I think ending year one, going into year two, I really wanted to move away from that kind of fringe playoff tier where I was kind of in the bottom year one, but not bottom of the bottom, but kind of in the middle. So I tried to get some youth, young players on the team. My goal was to make it into playoffs in 2022. And, I didn't think I had, quite a championship team, but we saw you get to the playoffs, anything can happen, you get hot. So that's kind of was my goal of 2022. Unfortunately, it did not work out, did not go according to plan. So I kind of had to adjust, I think I went into the season as a fringe playoff team, ended up falling below that mark again. So started pretty early trying to rebuild and retool for this year. So that's where I'm at.
What were some of the moves that you made in 2022 as part of sort of your goals coming into 2023 that were sort of memorable for you on your roster?
I knew I had a good quarterback room. I got these two guys behind me. So I wanted to use them and just kind of have them be the pillars for the rest of my team. Had some young players that I thought I could move on or kind of bait people with that were ready to rebuild. I think really the first move that kicked it all off as far as trying to improve for 2023 was acquiring Cooper Kupp from Eve. Kupp being a guy that was out for the rest of the season, but a great player. I was someone that was not gonna compete in 2022, so I knew I could kind of sit on him and just wait for him to come back. And so I went and got him, and that was kind of when I was like, oh shit, okay, am I making the push? Because he's an older player. I think he's still got a couple years in him, but I need to make the push if I am going to acquire and pay up for a guy like that. So he was kind of the first building block that I knew I was going for. And then after that, it was, okay, can I get a couple other improvements to back him up? Whether it was receivers or running backs, got Javonte Williams from you, Tim, which was weirdly similar. I didn't have a plan of doing this, but also a guy that was injured for the rest of the year. And, thinking, okay, my window is not this year. I can wait till next year, 2023, 2024 type of window. So those were really the catalysts to this year.
And what were some of the, besides your roster and your moves, what were some of the things that you recall back as the most memorable or impactful sort of trades or moves and results from the other league managers?
Some of them were this offseason, maybe not during 2022. Guys like Nick Chubb, Eckler, Brandon filling out his running back room. But also, I think just manager-wise, seeing the two new managers and Kyle and Travis, the Moncton Meerkats and Phil Ditka, making waves their first year into the league was really exciting. The historical start of the Moncton Meerkats and the run he made in the regular season was great to see. And then also Phil Ditka, making a valiant push for the playoffs. Just getting those guys active right away. I think that sets the bar pretty high for the new managers, but also kind of paves the way for them to, a template to build off of. Maybe a little harder for them with the expansion drafts. We'll see what they can do this year, but I think they'll be making a lot of moves.
Awesome. Let's switch over to 2023 now. Exciting year. I think, as you alluded to, you're going for it this year. What are your goals coming into it, and what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, the goal for Full Jerry is the trophy. I think I, won't be happy if I'm short of that. So I'm going for it this year. I mean, I already mentioned Cooper Kupp on the older side of the age. I got Devontae Adams and Derrick Henry. So I'm basically Eve 2.0 right here with some upgrades. So thanks for the roster boost. But I think I have, some of the other players to support those older guys, some youth, like I said, the quarterbacks, I think I feel good about. So yeah, the goal is to get full Jerry on that trophy.
Yeah, every year we kind of talk about your team, John, as like that sneaky contender, that dark horse. But this year, I mean, it doesn't feel like you're a dark horse. You're fully going for it, and that's exciting.
Yeah, that was the goal. I was kind of tired of being on that, like, oh, I got some guys that could break out. I wanted some big names on the roster this year, and I had to pay some of the future for it. So, hopefully I don't regret that. But I got some big names, some guys that'll be scary when you look across the matchup and see these guys.
I mean, looking at John, your roster, you obviously are going to be ride or die on the success and the continued growth of the games of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. Like you said, those are the pillars. They're going to take you as far as you can. But besides that, I mean, besides Cooper Kupp, the other name that we haven't mentioned yet is you filled it out pretty nicely with obviously Devontae Adams. You've got Derrick Henry there, which are going to be massive boosts to the wide receivers and the running back rooms compared to your previous years. But the one thing that we haven't talked about is Calvin Ridley. I'm excited about Calvin Ridley, and you're the original owner of it, and you finally got him back. And even though it's been 1.5 seasons being on someone else's roster, he's only going to have started for you in terms of the active games that he's played.
That's true.
Yeah. But you've got him coming back, whether it's him or Christian Kirk as a wide receiver one, if Trevor Lawrence takes it forward, you've got the double stacks there. So yeah, for me, it's just interesting. And you've got also continued growth from guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith, even the Pat Fryermuth and Dalton Schultz. We'll see what happens at the tight end position, but I don't think anyone would point that out as a weakness in your position at all. So if you sort of take a look at it, Brandon, I feel like John's got, assuming Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert can both be top 10, or maybe one of them being top 5, I think that really puts John into this sort of contender territory in my mind.
I think some of those younger names that you mentioned, Tim, is really what empowered me to just go make the move now. I think I wouldn't normally just fill the team with some of the older guys. I'll leave that to Eve in a few more years again. I think some of those younger guys being there is what made me feel comfortable with making the push for a few older names while still having some young talents.
So again, thinking about the 2023 season, this year with our expansion, we have 10 total teams, which means that 6 teams are going to make the playoffs. The way our playoffs are set up, the top 2 seeds in the regular season get a bye. So playoffs can be wild. You mentioned it yourself. Anything can happen. Anybody can get hot, and we've seen that. Who do you think right now is the most likely to reach those important top 2 seeds from the regular season?
Yeah, so for me, it's me and trust the process. I think Tim's team just has, a pretty sturdy receiver room. I mean, some of those names are pretty scary. I mentioned not wanting to look across and see some of these names. And I feel like he's got probably 4 of the top 10, if not top 5 receivers over there. So that's pretty scary. Got good quarterbacks, good running backs. So it's going to be hard to compete with him. I think us 2 are hopefully holding down the top 2 spots with the bye.
Nice. Who wins it all?
I gotta put full Jerry up there. Like I said, I'm making the push. I'm getting all the names I can, all the guys that are gonna get those points. So hoping that full Jerry would be there.
Love it. Love the confidence. And I think it's totally valid too. I mean, just looking at your team, and that you don't. Then you scroll down to injured reserve, and you've got Cooper Kupp and Calvin Ridley just sitting there. Like your starting roster right now is already looking so good, and then you've got those 2 massive names. So. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet there. Do you have any other predictions for the league? Anything spicy for us?
So I think as much as I say Tim and I are in the top 2, I think there's a chance. My fiery prediction is that the Bills Mafia ends up in the championship. I think you've really made some improvements. We all joked, 2025 would be your year, but I think you've made a lot of improvements and done a lot of the same type of moves that I have, where you're just like kind of trading those young guys for some current talent, and you still have the assets of the draft picks as well. So I think you're making the right moves, and I think somehow you sneak into that championship. I think you're definitely in the playoff tier of teams. I also have, I think, Moncton Meerkats, Ryan, and Huge Ditka probably rounding out the playoff group. Maybe not too many surprises. I think Huge Ditka would probably be, the most likely if I had to pick one to fall out of that group, but I think he's got the pieces to do it. I think it'd be interesting to see if any of the expansion teams can do it. They have some pieces that could work out for them. But I think it's, players on new teams like David Montgomery and Devin Singletary, just a matter of can those assets work out for them.
So your sort of controversial / fire take is Brandon getting into the championship this year.
Yeah.
What are some other predictions that's going to ruffle some feathers?
I considered, and he's not going to like this, but I considered Moncton Meerkats like not making the playoffs. Despite his regular season run, I just think he had some guys were really on fire last year, and then kind of, we saw it fall off towards the playoffs. And I do wonder if that just that trend kind of continues into 2023, and whether it's injuries or, lack of depth. I think he just might not have enough guys to get him there. I mean, we all see one team each year that plagued by injuries or unexpected low performances from players. I probably shouldn't talk because I got now one of the older rosters in the leagues. Knock on wood.
That's 2 fire takes on Kyle not making the playoffs now.
Really?
Our first 3 interviews, yeah.
Oh,
I think it's so surprising just because of what he did last year in the regular season.
I mean, I think it's valid. You made a great point. Kyle went off a historic start with really on the backs of Lamar Jackson and Josh Jacobs just having historic starts this season. Obviously, Josh Jacobs had a finished out historically. Lamar wasn't. And then you start to saw sort of the discrepancy between his first half and then the second half of the season and come playoff time. So I absolutely think that's a fire take, meaning it's very controversial. I definitely see the rational logic for it.
so John, I know a lot of us, I think all of us actually, when we joined this league, it was our first experience with Dynasty. And there's a lot of differences between Dynasty and redraft that I think a lot of us have learned kind of on the fly through mistakes, some mistakes bigger than others. But do you have any advice or anything you would share with, we have now our 2 expansion managers that face an uphill battle trying to create their teams and create competitive teams. Do you have any advice or anything you would share with these new managers?
Yeah, I think coming into it, you read up, you listen to podcasts for Dynasty, and everybody tells you, about how you need to get young players, young talent. And we start to overvalue draft picks or even like rookies and things like that. And sure, they can explode and, you can get the Garrett Wilsons, but some of the draft picks don't work out, or you get a player who's young and seems like he has a good opportunity. And the next year, they draft someone else and it, that opportunity is gone. So I think one thing I realize is like, instead of thinking about like a 5-year plan, which you can do, I mean, I think it's more of like 2 to 3 year windows, because you can draft a guy that seems like he has a great opportunity, but you don't know where he's going to be in 5 years or who else is going to be on the team. So I think really look more like 2 to 3 year windows when you're thinking about like, is this guy going to be good for my team? Should I add him? And that's why I've gone for, I think Cooper Kupp, maybe I only get 2 years, maybe 3 years out of him. But I think for me, that would be a successful trade still. So that's kind of how I've approached it. And not the first year. I think the first year I kind of was trying to balance my team with such young players, and not all of them worked out. Some of them are shotgun approach and some of them do, some don't. The other thing is like, don't overreact. My biggest regret is the Jonathan Taylor trade that I made with Tim 2-3 weeks into the season. I was like, crap, I made a bad decision. He's not what I thought he was. I'm going to try to get some value out of him while I can. Then it turns out, he was the real deal. So I think just don't overreact to a few weeks of bad performance or anything like that, because that can come back to haunt you. I'm not going to act like an expert. Definitely some things that I would do differently if we did it all again. So.
And John, before we sign off, we want to reserve this time for you for any advertisements, messages, call outs, whatever you can do for your selfish, greedy needs to serve your goals for this season. Floor is yours.
Yeah, anyone who's selling or rebuilding midway through the season, come talk to me first. Would love to kind of set the market for that. Hoping to be in the playoff push. There are some good players on, even the teams that I, have currently not making the playoffs. There are good players on those teams, and I would definitely have interest in some of them. So talk to me first.
What are some of the things that you're valuing? So you're obviously trying to push for the cup. So with
The
everything, your
Cooper Cup.
drafts, yeah, that's painful for you.
Yeah.
Do you have?
If I do it, he's gonna be so mad.
Are you thinking about like trading your draft picks away, or what are some of the things that you would probably call out for the people who would want to trade with you?
There's not many draft picks left to trade away. Actually, it's weird because I am a little bummed because I might not even, I think I have one pick this year. But I think as far as valuing players, I think my wide receiver room is pretty good right now. A lot of depth. I think running backs are always hard. It feels like you never have enough of them, even if you have 3 or 4. So I feel like running backs is probably where I'd be trying to improve. You mentioned it, double stack with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, and that wasn't necessarily intentional. I am hopeful that that's a good thing with how many receivers and flex players we get to start, but obviously they can't both score on the same play. So just trying, I would be open to moving one of them. I've gotten some nibbles, but obviously I'm hoping for the big Calvin Ridley comeback, so I'm valuing him pretty high. And Christian Kirk had a good year. I don't know if we expect it to continue with Calvin Ridley eating some of those targets, but be interesting to see.
So, John, we're all getting real excited for our upcoming draft week in Boston. Tell us, what to look forward to. What are some things that might be on the schedule? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but get us excited. We're only, I think, just over 3 weeks out at this point. So get us all excited.
Yeah, it's getting really close. Hopefully the weather's nice, but the Cape is kind of a fun place to be in the summer in Boston. That's where even people, from Boston or surrounding areas go for the summer. So I think I'm excited to, share that experience. I've actually never stayed on the Cape or anything like this, so this is kind of new to me. I'm excited that we're going to get that, Boston night. Sounds like the first night, at least for some of us who are traveling in on Wednesday. So we'll get kind of one Boston night, do some dinner, get some good food with you guys, and then head to the Cape for the Airbnb. But honestly, we got the Airbnb. We're going to be able to barbecue. I'm hoping to do kind of one night where we cook at home. I know Kyle's been pushing for some of Sergey and my specialty meals that we've been posting on Instagram. So maybe we'll put together a menu and you guys can dine with the finest meals. But also we might work in Martha's Vineyard, kind of just a cool destination spot. It's like a 30-minute ferry. The bougie of the bougiest go there. So we can fake it till we make it there for a little bit, but looking forward to it. And then just lots of beach time and chilling. So, and of course, golf.
Got it. So Thursday, practice round, morning casual, afternoon with the activities that you mentioned around Martha's Vineyard, beach time or whatever. Yeah. And then I would imagine probably Thursday night or Friday night, we get the dinner. And then Saturday, we've got the draft and whatever else we want to fill in. And then Sunday, just sort of like peace out for everyone.
Yeah, and we can't forget the Saturday morning toilet bowl punishment or Saturday noon time. So Sergey will be giving us his best beer mile time. Eve just sent me a post. There was a guy that ran a 4-minute 30-second beer mile that includes drinking time. So we have high expectations for Sergey.
Is there like a high school gym, like a track we can all sit on the bleachers?
So I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure there is one. I'm sure wait, is he going to be drinking NAs?
No, we'll make him drink real stuff.
Oh, okay. Because we might have to be a little discreet. I don't think high school tracks probably don't want us chugging beers on the track, but I think if we go like an odd time, I don't think anybody's gonna mind. We'll be in and out of there, but it should be quite entertaining. Looking forward to it, and I'll do a little research on that.
Whether it's NAs or alcoholic, that's not the issue, right? Isn't the challenge with beer miles just the fact that you're having to chug that much volume of liquids like while you're
the carbonation, I think, of chugging 4 beers. I mean, how quick can you chug 4 beers, much less also work in 4 laps on a track? So
that's true. Thanks for bringing that up. I wasn't even thinking about the the toilet bowl punishment. But that seems like a great way.
I
for
mean,
us
we
to start
gotta
our
have some
Saturday.
fun stuff mixed in. We can't let these toilet bowl losers slide. So yeah, he's embracing it, I think. So
Yeah.
I know our first toilet bowl, left the league. So we need one to punish.
Yeah, this would be the very first punishment. You're
Yes.
right.
It's only gonna get worse from here.
I'm so worried about that. Yeah.
Yeah, are
Um,
you worried about that, Tim?
No, I'm worried about just the sanity of our league. Like if it gets so
Gotcha.
bad, if people start leaving.
No, we
then-
won't do anything too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
there's voting, so there's ways to make sure, one idea doesn't get too outlandish. I think there's got to be some humiliation, but nothing life changing.
Yeah. I think
The
we have
trauma.
a good group of folks. Yeah. No traumatic experience, but
Yeah,
humiliating.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, John, thanks for spending the time with us. It's been great chatting with you. I'm excited to hear your goals for this season, being that you want to take it all. Hopefully you are able to put Cup to the cup and take that sort of what's been a curse for Eve out of the window. Appreciated your time. Looking forward to our week coming up together. Thanks for hosting us in Boston alongside Brad and Ryan. We're all looking forward to being there, and we'll sign off.